Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator. Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Thursday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's game week, folks. The National Football League kicks off tonight. You got the Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champs, and the Houston Texans. And college football, we get to see D'Eriq King and the Miami Hurricanes take on the UAB Blazers. But also that means a lot of high school football, high school sports going around the state of Florida. We're going to go now to the Titan More hotline, and we're joined by Mike Rideout from the PrepZone.com. Good morning, Mike. How are you? Mike's got to unmute his Mr. Producer, can we get him to unmute his phone? Okay. Well, in the meantime, until we get Mike to unmute, he almost did it right there. I just saw it click and then it went back to muted. Should be on your screen there, Mike. If you look at your phone screen, it should have a little button and you just, there we go.
There we go. Second time's a charm.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Hey, good, Shane. How are you? I'm doing good.
Well.
Yes.
First of all, before we get into high school sports, I wasn't aware, but you let me know that you've been teaching a play-by-play class at the University of Florida for several years. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I got a chance to watch Batesy. Good interview, by the way. And I love his show and tell that he did as well. It takes me back to a story one time. Bates sat in my car and voiced over a commercial. And just to hear him voice, I did everything I could to keep from dying laughing. But it was a Ballyhoo Grill spot, and he was talking about eating some menu item that it was so good that you just keep eating right on through the wood. And I've known Batesy for probably 20 years or so. But yeah, I heard Bates mention that he was entering, I think, his 8th semester of teaching the class. So I texted you just to give you a heads up. I didn't know if you knew that I was teaching a play-by-play class, but basically that came to be back in, this is my 5th year, so my 9th semester of teaching a play-by-play class at UF. And I guess Steve Russell does these exit interviews with the students, and he'll ask them, hey, what could we do to make it a better experience for future students? And I had a couple of students that mentioned, listen, if it hadn't have been for the opportunity to do the high school stuff, may not have had a chance to do, some hands-on stuff. So what we would like to see is, more opportunities to broadcast Gator stuff. So, it was the first class which gave students an opportunity to broadcast Gator football, mostly women's basketball. We typically aren't on site for like Gator basketball, men's basketball, but they'll broadcast from the studio. But, they'll broadcast on site for Gator baseball and sometimes Gator softball. It'll be a little bit of a challenge this semester because we're meeting virtually, first of all. And then on top of that, they're going to have to try to broadcast, do a Zoom broadcast together. The challenge, and I think you know a little bit about this, I worked with a student on Friday night at the Hawthorne Newberry game. And unfortunately, I got sick, and I'm kind of in quarantine right now. I got my swab test yesterday. Hopefully that's going to come back positive, but I'm out this week. I'm not able to go broadcast this week. So that's the downside right now with what's going on. But yeah, it was, I'm really happy that the students get this opportunity to go broadcast games. So they'll actually get to go to Gator football games, not this year, but they've been able to broadcast Gator football games in the past. We'll go back and we'll listen to their broadcast in class. I'll critique it. You know, I've been broadcasting. You may not know this either, Shane. You go all the way back to 1991 was the first year that I was on the air, wow. Broadcasting University of North Florida. They were an NAIA program at the time. And in fact, I've stayed with them when they went Division II, and then I also got a chance to broadcast Division I. So, you know, I've been to Notre Dame and Purdue and Wyoming, and, you know, I've had a chance to do play-by-play at the Division I level for several years. But, yeah, that first year, 1991, Shane, the UNF baseball team made it to the NAIA World Series out in Lewiston, Idaho, and I got a chance to go. They flew me out there to broadcast the World Series. So, yeah, so I guess I'm showing my age a little bit, but I've had a lot of great opportunities.
Yeah, that's great stuff, and you do a tremendous job covering high school sports.
Thank you.
And I hear you, no doubt about it. So let's. We hope you feel better, Mike. First of all, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Getting up this morning and joining us to talk a little high school sports. Unfortunately, I guess at the prepzone.com, we don't have the capabilities of Mike Rideout staying at home and broadcasting a game.
No, that would be a little tough. It'd be nice if we could do something like that. But now I did think about this. The Gainesville Sun asked me, you know, because I was supposed to broadcast Gainesville Santa Fe, and I said they wanted me to cover the game. I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to broadcast the game, but you know what? I might be able to still cover it for you because the game's on TV. My 11, you know, CBS 4, they're broadcasting games this year. Cardozo and Shannon Snell are calling games. Yeah. First time that I can ever remember, you know, TV coverage of games. They were actually at the same game last week as me, Hawthorne and Newberry. But I mentioned to the Gainesville Sun, I said, hey, I can watch the game on TV and cover it for the Sun. So maybe I can still do something on Friday night. Yeah,
no doubt. Well, let's talk about what happened last week. I know we had a couple of games in the area. Kind of give us a recap of what went down.
Yeah, probably the most exciting game was over in Trenton. PK Young played at Trenton on Friday night. It was a game that was scoreless after 3 quarters. And then all of a sudden, both teams just, you know, got hot. They combined for 46 points in the 4th quarter, and the game went in overtime. And then Trenton kicked a 21-yard field goal in overtime to win it 26-23. Trenton now will go to Newberry this week. PK Young will go home, and they will host Eastside. And one thing that you're seeing with some of these schools is they're trying to schedule their senior nights early. So it'll be senior night for PK Young against Eastside this Friday night. But the game that I was at, Newberry at Hawthorne, another game that was pretty exciting. Hawthorne went ahead 12-0, about 9 minutes to play in the first half. And then all of a sudden, late in the first half, Newberry scored 14 points in the final 18 seconds of the first half. Kobe DeLima had a 4-yard touchdown run to make it 12-7 with 18 seconds to play. They kicked off, and then Hawthorne fumbled the football. Newberry recovered, and then Mekhi Johnson had throw a 16-yard touchdown pass to Leontre Robinson with no time on the clock. I mean, the horn sounds as the guy's going up. Robinson's going up to catch the ball. And Newberry took a 14-12 lead at the half. You had to feel good for Hawthorne quarterback Chaz Mackey because his dad passed away on August the 15th. I got a chance to talk to him after the game. He threw a 6-yard touchdown pass with 3:25 to play in the game to win it for him, 20-14. But, you know, he told me that he talked to his dad before the game and he knew that he was there. And, you know, that's just a good feel-good story. So big win for Hawthorne. Newberry's Ed Johnson, the coach, said that he feels like Hawthorne is much improved from last year. As I mentioned, Newberry's got another tough one because now they've got to go home and play a Trenton team that's got a little bit of momentum. Dixie County's going to play at Union County this week. That should be a good one. Andrew Thomas is the new head football coach at Union County. He won a couple of state championships at Trenton High School. Dixie County's L.B. Cravey is a Dixie County alum. He's in his second year as head coach. And Dixie County was supposed to have already played a game, but this will actually be their first game. And this is going to be kind of a roller coaster, right? Because we don't know with the uncertainty of COVID. Give you an example, Shane. I don't know if you heard what happened with Chiefland High School, but there were a couple of kids. I want to say they were even middle school kids. I don't even think they were high school kids, but a total of 91 students were quarantined at Chiefland High School, including 21 members of the football team, just because they had come in contact with, I think they rode on the same bus or something. So Chiefland was supposed to play at Mayo Lafayette this week. That game was canceled, and now I think they either play next week or the following week. I think they're trying to pick up a game for the 18th. But yeah, I mean, there's just that uncertainty due to COVID, and we just, we'll have to take it week to week. In fact, Marcus McDonald, the head coach of PK Young, when he sent me his schedule, it doesn't say high school football schedule on it, Shane. It says COVID schedule.
That's great. We're actually going to have, after you, we're going to have a little high school football. We have some coaches join us. We have Whittemore, McDonald.
Oh, good.
Wiles,
yeah.
And John Bentley are going to join us.
Okay, good.
So
yeah, Buchholz. Sorry, Shane. Buchholz will play at home against Oakley. They had a kickoff classic against Trinity Christian of Jacksonville this past Friday. So that did not count in the one-loss record, but it did give them a chance to hit somebody. And then they, will open up the season against Oakley this Friday night at Buchholz.
And most of the Ocala schools start next week?
No, actually, they're the 25th. Now, Trinity Catholic will play against South Sumter next week, but most of your other Ocala teams won't play for another week. So here's the thing, too, Shane. These schools across the state have until next week, September 18th, next Friday, to notify the Florida High School Athletic Association if they want to participate in the state series, in the state playoffs. If you participate in the state playoffs, basically what will happen is the FHSA will kind of reseed everything or reclassify everything. They'll take a look at the total number of teams that are available, and then they'll determine, put them in whatever class based on how many they have. And then at that point, every single team in the state of Florida will make the playoffs. So kind of a strange year to have every team in the playoffs. Your South Florida teams, though, here's the advantage. If you say that you don't want to participate in the state series, you can extend your regular season beyond the regular season, meaning you can play regular season games while there are state playoff games going on. So it just gives schools an opportunity to schedule more games that way. One thing that it will kind of water it down a little bit, because South Florida, they dominated last year in the state championships. So not having South Florida participating in the playoffs, would be tough. But, the main thing is you want to be able to just have as many games as you can, have these kids put as many games on tape as they can to give, maybe give it a chance to play at the next level. But that should be kind of neat to have every single team make the state playoffs.
No doubt about it. We're talking with Mike Rideout from the Prep Zone. You can follow him on Twitter at the Prep Zone and also online, theprepzone.com. Last thing before we let you go, Mike,
okay.
Volleyball's, they've had couple teams have played a couple games already. What are some of the teams we need to look out for in our area?
For Buchholz, I want to see how they react with the loss of Bree Anderson. She was injured in club ball, and that's a team that did pretty well last year, made it to the second round of the state playoffs. But Newberry played in the state championship game last year against Sneads. I think they will be a team to watch in Class 1A. Bell High School, who we actually had on the show last night at Sonic Drive-In. Marty hosted the show in my absence. They were in the 2018 state championship game. I think they're a team that has a chance to compete. I think either Newberry or Bell in 1A will be, have a chance to play in the state championship this year. But Bell just lost a 5-set thriller to Oak Hall. Perry McDonald is back coaching. He's now over at Oak Hall School. I think that Oak Hall will do quite well this year. Gainesville's got a new coach this year, so there's a little bit of an unknown there, and we're hoping to get out and see some volleyball next week, and I might have a better handle on volleyball. But those are some of the teams, at least in the Gainesville area, to watch probably.
Absolutely. Well,
Santa Fe High School. Sorry, Shane. Santa Fe High School is probably the best team in Alachua County, so keep an eye on them as well.
Yeah, let everybody know how they can check out the Prep Zone.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Just go to theprepzone.com. One thing that you'll find we've been doing a lot of are our rising senior spotlights. We'll do this for, a lot of the fall sports, but we've done really focused on a lot of football players. You mentioned the Twitter account that we have. We'll be putting up a poll question here soon at the Prep Zone, but we always have a lot of action going on our Twitter page. We do have a Facebook page. We'll post stuff there as well, but if you want up-to-the-minute stuff, follow us on Twitter.
Well, Mike, good stuff as always, man. Stay safe, get well, get some rest, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I thought it would be easier to do the phone route today because I am drenched right now in sweat. So I figured I'd spare your audience a little bit.
Well, I appreciate you doing it, man. Like I said, get well, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Shane. Thanks for the time. Have a good day.
Yep, that's Mike Rideout, who does from theprepzone.com, does a tremendous job covering high school sports in North Central Florida, pretty much around the entire state. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. We're going to take our first time out of the program. We come back, we're going to have a little high school blitz here, if you want to call it. We're going to have multiple coaches joining us, talk about their teams, their games tomorrow night. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gainesville Turnover Specialist. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Celebration Point Town Center. Center State Bank. Chris Doring Mortgage. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Radware, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming spring 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visors Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators come to celebrate. I want to thank Mike Rideout, talking about high school sports with us, for joining us. We're going to go back to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by the head football coach of the Buchholz Bobcats, Mark Whittemore. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Morning, Shane. Doing well. Just trying to educate during a pandemic.
No doubt about it. Well, appreciate you taking time. I know you got to teach a bunch of youngsters class, I guess. Maybe you're doing it all virtually. But let's talk about your football team. You kick the season off tomorrow night against Oakleaf, which is always a good program. But you had a little kickoff classic against powerhouse Trinity Christian out of Jacksonville. Tell us how that went.
Went good. I mean, obviously, Trinity Christian is a perennial power in the private school ranks. Bunch of, highly touted kids running around on the field. Usually in high school football, your average receiver is probably about 5'10". Their average receiver is about 6'3", 6'4". So, I mean, there's a lot good players running around last Friday night, but it was a good test for us. We were able to hold them to 14 points, felt good about how our defense played. We were inside the five probably 4 times. We came up with 0 scores. We fumbled the ball 3 times. A lot of rust on the field, really a lot of rust on both sides. And I know we've been talking about this in the football world here the last few weeks, but, when you don't have camp, right, when you don't have training camp, when you don't have maybe a summer camp that you go to, a padded summer camp, you don't have spring practice, you can't really expect the kids to be super duper well-oiled in your first contest with only that was our first week that we could actually have full contact. So I expect to answer your question, I was pleased with how we performed under those circumstances.
Yeah, talk a little bit about it, Mark, because you've been coaching high school ball a long time. Just the difficulties for you and your staff, not only for you and your staff, but for the kids, just all the changes and the protocol. Kids have to bring their own dang water bottles to practice. And, I don't know how the whole locker room situation is. Just how difficult has it been on your team?
In short, it has been difficult. I think it's taken it takes a toll emotionally and
well, yeah, we lost Coach Whittemore there. Internet access there. Are you back?
Mentally, because it's so many of those little things to accomplish. My back, Shane, you got me?
We got you now, Coach. Are you there?
Okay, sorry, I had to go outside here, so now I'm masked up, and so the short answer to your question is it has taken a little toll on us, but we're getting used to it along.
Yeah, last thing for you, Coach. You got a highly touted running back, I believe, that has some offers to Michigan and other Power 5 schools. Coach Hevesy, his son is your quarterback. You have another son. It seems like there's going to be Whittemore's playing at Buchholz forever. Just talk a little bit about some of the players on your team that you are looking at today or for this season to be the leaders of your program.
Well, defensively, I'll start out with Damian Curtis. He's a commit to Wofford, which is a 1AA powerhouse. He brings a lot of leadership in the defensive backfield. Fantastic athlete. He'll play corner and safety for us. And then I've got Matt Clayton, whose brother is a starting cornerback for the West Florida national champion in Division II. He's coming off the edge at defensive end. Obviously, we're looking for Jack Hevesy to be the leader of our offense. The success of our team really goes through him right now. And Quan Smith in the backfield with the Michigan offer. He's a superior talent. He's really, he's a dude. He's the guy that's got freakish athletic skill. We're looking for him to rack up some yards. Our offensive line has really got to improve week by week. They're a little young, and so we're really counting on the offensive line to come along in their ability to come off the ball and really open up some holes for Quan Smith. But those guys, those are kind of our 4 right now, along with the newcomer Quan Lee, who came over from Eastside last spring. He's a kid who's got about 3 or 4 SEC offers, and we're looking for him to really catch the football down the field and stretch defenses.
We got a Facebook Live comment here brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. Buddy wants me to tell Mark the Ocala QB Club is proud of their 2018 Scott Brantley Trophy winner, your son Trent, who's making big strides with the Gators. Speaking of that, a lot of people may not know that Coach Whittemore has a son that plays wide receiver for the Troy Trojans and for the Gators. So my question to you, both your kids are playing. How are y'all going to determine what games you're going to?
Shane, it's going to be tough. Last year we just about wore ourselves out. We split time. Missy my wife is usually also calling volleyball games on SEC Network. So the falls, if you can imagine, are really, really busy for the Whittemore family. But, hoping that that Trent and Luke continue to stay hard workers and really give great effort at their respective schools.
Last thing for you, because I know you got class. The playoff situation, obviously Buchholz has made the playoffs for several years. I'm sure y'all are going to opt in. I don't know why the heck you wouldn't. I don't know why any school wouldn't opt into the playoffs. But briefly, tell me what your thoughts are about how they're going to do the playoffs this year.
Shane, it's really weird. I've got this could go one of two ways. Either, this COVID thing shuts people down and you have a limited amount of people that are able to be in the playoffs, or what we're all hoping for is that this COVID crisis kind of abates a little bit and we end up getting more people than they thought in the playoffs. The problem is, if that happens, I don't know. I mean, how many rounds are they going to have?
Right.
So, I think there are a lot of unanswered questions about the playoffs, but you better believe the Buchholz Bobcats are going to opt in if we can safely, and we're doing everything we can to stay safe.
I got a text here on the Titan Mark text line for you, and it comes from Frank. Frank says, when Mark played at UCF, before one of the games, he tackled a garbage can in the locker room before the game to try and fire somebody.
Frank.
Is that true?
First of all, I'm trying to figure out which Frank that is. There were several. There's only a few Franks that could be, but the answer to that question has got to remain a little ambiguous, because that's a special moment in a football locker room right there. But I'm smiling behind my mask, Shane.
Well, I know you well. I believe you did tackle the garbage cans. That's awesome. Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Good luck to your boys this year. Y'all stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Shane, always great talking with you. I hope everything goes well for you, and enjoy watching Luke Matthews as well.
All right. Take care, Coach. That's Mark Whittemore, head coach of the Buchholz Bobcats. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. And we're going to be joined here shortly by Bill Wiles from Trenton. But that's great. I can see Coach Whittemore's a fiery type guy. He does these at their pep rallies. He does these backflips off the stage at the pep rallies. So he's quite a character. There's no question about it. But we appreciate the text, Frank. We got a couple of other Facebook Live comments here. Let's see. Trey, brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. Trey says, go Bobcats, class of 89. Key says, good morning. Good morning to everyone. Want to thank all our sponsors. You make sure you tell your friends to follow our show, like us, check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from WrapSpot. September is your lucky month at WrapSpot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Like I said, we're going to be joined by Coach Bill Wiles here shortly. And then we have John Brantley from Trinity Catholic and also Marcus McDonald from PK Young talking about their high school athletes and the issues they have to deal with this year. Got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Will. Will wants to know my thoughts of who I think is going to win the Super Bowl this year. Well, JC and I talked a little bit about it yesterday, Will. Thanks for the text. I think I have my teams written down here who I picked to make. It was this year, 7 teams make the playoffs. It's always been 6. The number 1 seed gets a bye. But my 3 teams I picked in no order, but top 3 teams, I have the Saints, the 49ers, and the Bucs, believe it or not. I think Brady's going to make a difference. I think he's got more talent around him this year than he's ever had in his career. And then I think on the AFC, I love the Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes is a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback. He plays tonight, by the way, against the Texans. And then I got Buffalo as a sleeper in Pittsburgh. I don't know why I picked those. I think Kansas City is the team to beat over there. The NFC's wide open, in my opinion. So to answer your question, Will, which I really didn't, I just kind of been rambling here. I think the Chiefs are going to play the Saints in the Super Bowl, and I think the Chiefs are going to go back-to-back, all because of one guy. All because of one guy, and that would be Patrick Mahomes. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's number one choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. Like I said, we got a little. This is kind of our high school day. I love high school football. I know some people may not, but there's nothing like Friday nights, and I love to give the high school coaches and their players as much love as possible. And we're going to try to do that each and every week on our program. Have different coaches from around the area join us. And like I said, we're hoping to have Trenton coach Bill Wiles join us here in just a second. And we've got John Brantley. Everybody knows John Brantley. He's been on the show before. And that's about it. But also tonight, we got the Miami Hurricanes, De'Aaron King, transfer quarterback. We'll see if Miami is ready to roll. But I think we got Coach Wiles on the phone line. We just need him to unmute his phone. He's texting me right now. Anyway, the Trenton coach, you there, Coach?
Shane, you got John Brantley here.
Oh, we got Brantley. I'm trying to get Bill Wiles. You're early, Brantley. You're supposed to be at 8:40.
Well, I'm always early.
You're always early. Well, I'll tell you what.
Anytime I can beat Bill Wiles in anything, that's okay.
That's funny. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and talk a little ball with you. We got John Brantley, former Gator quarterback. Now they have back as the head coach of Trinity Catholic. You don't play this week, Coach. You kick it off next week. But tell us how it's been having to deal with all this COVID and, keeping your kids, trying to keep them as safe as possible. How tough's it been?
It's been the craziest thing I've ever been involved with, Shane. I think the team that tries it, that can win it all, has just got who's going to have the most kids standing at the end of this thing. I'm dealing with it right now. I got a couple of key players out sick, not knowing if they've, got COVID or whatever. And it's just been an ongoing situation. And the biggest thing is just keeping our kids motivated. We've been backed up twice, once by FHSAA due to the start time, and then our Diocese of Orlando, who governs Trinity Catholic in Ocala, they backed us up 2 weeks. And, through all the summer workouts, just keeping these kids motivated to get to a start point that's been our biggest thing. And no spring ball. We were in pads for the first time this week. First time I've ever been on the field with these kids with full pads. And I don't know how they're going to react. We play South Sumter next Friday night. They'll have 2 games under their belt. We hadn't even played yet. So I don't know. It's crazy, but we need to get on the football field. We need to get film for these kids that are looking to go play at the next level and just make the best out of a tough situation this year.
Yep. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all have to stay within Marion County. Is that right?
No, that's the public school. They set up a situation here where they got all the public schools together and they're going to play each other. So, we didn't fall under those guidelines and for whatever reason, and that's okay. They didn't invite us to be involved with that. But no, we're playing South Sumter, and then we go up to Gainesville. We'll be up here the following week on Thursday night at Citizens Field. Then we got the Villages at home, go to Bowles week 4, and got Sandalwood coming down from Jacksonville, and Victory Christian down in Orlando, and Calvary out of Clearwater. So we got a great schedule with a bunch of good football teams.
Yeah. Talk real quick. I don't want to keep you long, Coach, but talk a little bit about some of the leaders on your program. I saw a picture of you with your offensive line. It has to be the biggest high school offensive line I've ever seen. I average about 285.
Well, it is a big bunch of boys, but like I said, we hadn't been in pads yet to this week, so we're going to find out. But, yeah, our offensive line is going to average 6'6", 284 across the front. Great bunch of kids, 4 seniors. 2 of them have committed to Auburn, 1 of them to the University of Florida, Jake Slaughter up there. And an outstanding bunch of kids, too. Got great GPAs. They have worked so hard this summer to get to this point, and that's why this COVID deal has just been, so frustrating on their part to get out there on the field. And so they're ready to go. But that's probably the strength of our football team is the offensive line. Got Cole Gonzalez. Billy Gonzalez's son transferred to Trinity Catholic. He's our quarterback. He's done a great job learning our system, has picked it up quickly, and we look for him to do some great things for us. Got Jamarian Samuels, running back, who's got about 4 teams looking at him, Division I, and he ran for 2,300 yards last year, was a Marion County offensive player. So we got some players. We just got to get our defense together. Very young, only got 3 seniors over on the defensive side of the ball. And so with that and a tough schedule and a school our size, depth will always be a problem. In case I'm not a big guy on playing kids both ways. I think we got maybe one child playing both ways right now, but I try to keep from that just so we can keep them fresh.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you joining the program. I know y'all are chomping at the bit to get out there next week. Hope we have a great year. We'll have you back on, get an update, but good luck to the Celtics.
All right, Shane, I appreciate it.
All right, that's Coach John Brantley joining us on the Titan MR Hotline from Trinity Catholic. Now we're going to switch over and be joined by Bill Wiles from the Trenton Tigers. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, Shane. How are you, man?
Doing great, Coach. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. Brantley called in early, and he was supposed to be going after you, but he said he had to be before Bill Wiles.
Hey, Brantley's way more important than me, man. We're good.
No, I'm kidding. So, Coach, you had a barn burner the other night over in Trenton against PK Young. Kind of fill us in on what happened in that game and some of the guys that stood out for you.
It was going into that game, we'd had 8 days of football practice, and at times it looked like it. We actually moved the ball pretty good at times. We couldn't finish drives. We basically defeated ourselves several times in terms of penalties and, missed blocks and didn't execute. However, PK Young's got some really good players, and so they had a lot to do with that. So first half was just a slugfest. We had a touchdown call back in the second quarter. We had it inside their 20 twice, but other than that, like I said, it was just a slugfest. And then in the second half, I think they had a flat pass on 3rd and long, and then we returned the kickoff, and then it was just back and forth. And the next thing you know, we're in overtime, and Jerron Riley got a huge pick, and we were able to knock the ball down there close enough. And over time, we just our intention was to try to pound it at them and keep it in the middle. And if we could score, we could score. If not, we're going to kick a field goal, and that's how it worked out. And Preston Blankenship knocked field goal through, so we won our first game in overtime, and it was good. It was at our place, and we're limited to 1,000 tickets, and we sold out 1,000 tickets Thursday. So it was a really, really good atmosphere here. It was good for our community, good for our kids. So this week just trying to get ready for Newberry.
Yeah, so obviously Newberry, Trenton, so close together, huge rivalry game. With the emotion that was into that first game of the year, I'm sure your kids were ecstatic the way that they won the game. How have they been practicing this week?
We've had a good week. We going back to the beginning of the summer, Shane, this group has been, after being, put out of school, and then we came back for workouts at the beginning of June. We haven't had too many lulls, and so very proud of that. So these guys, they continue to do that. So this week has been good. We pinpointed some things. We wanted to correct some mistakes that we made in the first ball game, and like I said, listening to Coach Brantley before this, he was talking about not playing and not being in pads, and shoot, man, this is uncharted waters for all of us, and so we're just trying to get a little bit better every day, in everything we do. So we pinpointed a few things we felt like we needed to clean up against Newberry, and we've emphasized that. And we just want to go play and want to compete, and I want to get these seniors as many games as we can.
No doubt about it. Coach, tell us a little bit about what you've seen on tape from Newberry.
A bunch of good football players. They got a lot of size. Their quarterback is he's a kid that didn't play last year, but he's a big old kid, very tough kid. They run him a lot. But the main thing is just their defensive front. I mean, the thing that jumps off the page at you is, the size of their defensive line. And, knowing what I know about them, their running back is a kid that's a returning kid. He transferred. Now he's transferred back. And he is a really, really talented kid. So, like I said, PK Young was, they had a lot of really good players on the field. And so we're going to see the same thing Friday, man. Newberry has always got good players, and this year's no different.
Coach, I wanted to ask you this. I wasn't the head coach, but I got to coach my son. My dad coached me in high school. Now your son is playing for you at Trenton. How's that going? Is there y'all talk football when you go home? Or y'all buddy heads on the field? Anything yet?
We do a little bit of all that. First of all, coaching my son, I've had friends that have had the opportunity, and so it's a blessing to do that. And so yes, we do talk some football. He's a sophomore, and I hope he's able to earn some playing time. He's on our kickoff team. He's on our kickoff return team. He's playing a little bit of split end. So I hope he gets to earn, a little bit of playing time. But, to be honest, Shane, it's just a blessing to have him out there with me every day. A blessing to ride to school with him, ride home with him. And, last night was one of them nights, we did talk a little bit about, blocking rules and that sort of deal on some different plays he was a little bit confused on. So, I love all my players, and one of them just happens to be my son, and it is very special.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Last thing, Coach. So in high school, does it depend on the schools? Like tonight, we know normally Newberry, Trenton is going to be packed, standing room only. Are they only allowing X amount of Trenton fans to travel? How's that working tonight? Tomorrow.
They only gave us, yes, sir. They only gave us 200 tickets. So we sold our 200 tickets. And talking to some folks at Newberry yesterday, they were pretty close to sold out. Now, overall, I don't know how many they're allowing. I don't have any idea. I know that they only sent us 200. And selling 200 football tickets in Trenton, Florida is not hard. So, we're out. I'm sure we'll have some people go that'll try to get in. I'm not sure about Alachua County's capacity. Here in Trenton, we started out a month ago when we were putting our back to school plan in place. We started out with 800 capacity. And then when the numbers started going down and things started, looking better, we upped it to 1,000 with the idea to look at it on a weekly basis. So I really don't know what to expect at Newberry in terms of total numbers. Like I said, all I can really speak to is they sent us 200, and we're going to at least have 200 Trenton people there.
All right, Coach. Coach, I got to ask you a question. How many passes did you throw the other night?
We threw 4. Look here, I don't mind throwing the football. That game the other night, Shane, was so, again, 8 days football practice is tough, and we have a real young offensive line. So we have a talent. I know you are, brother. Look here, I told my quarterback I want to throw it a little bit, and we'll work toward it. So,
you won a lot of football games, and what you do, y'all do very well. So just keep
appreciate it, man.
All right, Coach, take care.
Take care, buddy. Thanks.
Yes, sir. That's Coach Bill Wiles from the Trenton Tigers. Good little football program over there. We appreciate him taking the time to join the program. Good guy, no doubt about it. We're going to take a timeout here. When we come back, we'll be joined by PK Young's Marcus McDonald. We'll give you our This Day in Sports, kind of wrap this show up. We're going to, take a timeout. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We'll be right back.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gainesville Turnover Specialist. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Celebration Point Town Center. Center State Bank. Chris Doring Mortgage. Our touchdown sponsors are Pomodoro Cafe, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys, Orange Theory Fitness, PRP Regeneration Specialist, and Dowling Signs. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to this Thursday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Hope everyone's having a great day out there. I'm excited. NFL kicks off tonight, as well as I'm anxious to watch the Miami Hurricanes. You know, there's a lot of so-called experts out there that think they're going to make a big jump in year two under Manny Diaz, especially bringing De'Aaron King, who's a really electrifying quarterback. We'll see what they do tonight against the UAB Blazers. That game's at 8 o'clock. So you got two good football games on tonight. I'm looking forward to that. We really want to thank our high school coaches for joining us, Mark Whittemore, John Brantley, and Bill Wiles. We're going to be joined by Marcus McDonald from PK Young here shortly. He's got a pretty little talented team, and I'm sure he's not real happy that they lost in overtime to Trenton last week, but they get Eastside tomorrow night. I want to get to my play of the day, or this day in sports. I actually have two. This day in sports, it's brought to you by GTS, Gainesville's premier maintenance company. Whether you need carpet cleaning or expert painting, fences mended, or any handyman services, call GTS at 352-363-6622. In 1989, 5 days after hitting a home run for the New York Yankees in a win over the Seattle Mariners, Major League Baseball player and NFL player Deion Sanders returns a punt 68 yards for a touchdown, his first ever in the NFL. I remember when Deion he'd play like a baseball game and then go play the football game. It was crazy how he did that. Phenomenal athlete. But this day in sports is brought to you by GTS, Gainesville's premier maintenance company. And I'm trying to find the other one that I wanted to talk about. Maybe I can't find it anymore. So anyway, we got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Jim. Jim says, Shane, do you think Kyle Trask has a chance to win the Heisman Trophy? Well, yes, he does have a chance. I think when you take the guys like Justin Fields, some of the other really good players from the other two Power 5 conferences that aren't playing out of the mix, I think that increases his chances. But he's going to have a really, really good year. I thought he played well last year. I think he's going to have to take another step. It's interesting because the Pro Football Focus people, which you've had on my show, and that's Chris Collinsworth's company, and what they do is they break down every single play every NFL player has and every college player has. And before the season, before teams started opting out and canceling their seasons, Pro Football Focus ranked I think it's 130 or 131 Division I football teams. they ranked all their starting quarterbacks, and Kyle was like 46th, which that seemed very low to me. I probably would have had him in the 20s. I mean, I don't study him but they said that when you look at his breakdown of every play, that he didn't handle pressure very well, didn't make some accurate throws. And again, they watch every play. We just watch what's on TV, but they're sitting there rewinding it and talking about his accuracy. But the one thing that I've noticed about Kyle, not being in any practices, but he and my son are very good friends. They go fishing and play a lot of golf, especially during the quarantine. He's lost some weight, and I thought he was a little too big last year. I thought his feet were kind of heavy. He's just a big guy. There's no question about it. But I think he's slimmed down, and he's going to have better mobility in the pocket that will help him elude some defenders. But I think he's got a chance to have a big year. I think we got a lot of weapons at wide receiver. So he's going to need to play well for us to win games. There's no question about that. So I'm anxious. We kicked this off here. We still got, I don't even know what today is, like the 10th. I think we got a little over 2 weeks till we get started. Again, we're going to wait for Marcus McDonald to join us from PK Young. If you got any texts, send them to us. If you want to give us a Facebook Live comment, feel free to do that as well. Tomorrow we got Reggie McGrew and JC on the show. Next week we're going to have a really good lineup for you as well. And one thing is, I want to thank all our new sponsors. And if you're in the area, make sure you go visit these establishments. And if you have any friends, tell them to check our show out. They may like it, they may not, but at least tell them to check it out. Follow us, like us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. Let me see if I missed any comments here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. I think I got them all. Mary Ellen says that. A lot of recruited players. Let's see here. We got another text here. Let me pull it up. This comes from Joe. Who will be the best local high school football program this year? If we're talking North Central Florida, which I'm going to put Columbia, Alachua, Marion, and all the little surrounding, I would say the Columbia Tigers are always going to be good. Now, it's interesting. Brian Allen, their head coach, is not going to be coaching this year. He's stepping away. He's got a daughter. He's concerned about her, and I agree with that. But they've got phenomenal athletes year in and year out. Here in Gainesville, it's going to be Buchholz. They have a lot of good talent, very well coached. Down in the Ocala area, it's usually Vanguard. I don't know. They have 2 guys, I think, committed to the Gators. And they're not going to lose a game because they're playing everybody just within their county. But Trinity Catholic under John Brantley is going to be loaded. 6'6", 285-pound average of a high school offensive line is unbelievable. And Cole Gonzalez, Billy Gonzalez's son, transferred down there to play quarterback. He's a very athletic kid that knows what he's doing. So I would say Joe, I think it was Joe or Jim. My eyes are getting so bad. Buchholz and Trinity Catholic and Vanguard and Columbia. So I didn't answer his question. But those are going to be your perennial power teams year in and year out most of the time. I'm going to try to text Marcus McDonald here to make sure he's ready to roll. In the meantime, if you want to send us a text, feel free to do that, or send us one here on Facebook Live. I'm excited today because the NFL, I'm not a big NFL guy, but, oh gosh, the show's almost over. I guess we're going to miss Marcus McDonald from PK Young. We'll have him next week. Folks, thanks for tuning in. I know a lot of people, we have so many people that listen to my show around the country. They don't care about the local high school kids because they're not familiar with them. But I think it's important for us as a sports talk show to give those high school kids as much love as possible, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime deal. And I'm telling you, there's nothing like Friday Night Lights. I love it. I will be at some games tomorrow night. I don't know which games, but I just enjoy going and watching high school kids compete. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow.
Bye.